What's up, dudes? We got us a little boat. I guess this is gonna be a full-blown project. Picked this up yesterday. Boat, trailer, motor, 500 bucks. Not exactly sure what year it is. It's a Sears boat. Best I can tell, it's 1960, so I haven't run any of the numbers on it yet. But dude said it was a 1960 Sears 150 Runabout, and I did a quick Google search and I did find one that looked like this. I said I'm not exactly sure what year of the 60s, but it's what we got. Man, I don't know much about it at all. It popped up, guy had a bunch of stuff for sale. I went ahead and snagged it. The hull is in really good shape. I mean, it's discolored and faded, and of course we got some growth going on here, but I mean, there's no cracks. I think there's one scratch that I've seen. Yeah, right here. This is the biggest scratch I've seen in the hull so far, and that'll be an easy fix. One of the problems that I've seen so far is I couldn't tell you what the inside is like because we are completely full of pine needles and a whole pine tree growing out of it. I'm hoping the stringers are okay. From what I can tell, these boats had a wood floor somewhere under all this, which I'm sure is probably rotten if it's even there anymore. The transom does seem pretty solid though, from what I can tell. I bounced up and down on the motor and it sounds solid all the way through. So I think that's gonna be okay. This is gonna be a big problem. This is a Sears motor, 45 horse Sears. The problem that you run into with these little runabout boats is they have a short transom, so you need a short shaft motor on it. And it's hard to find a replacement to repower one of these things. I think I'm going to repower it with a smaller motor, but a newer motor. But before I start crossing that bridge, I really need to clean this thing up, get all the crap out of it, and make sure this boat is worth fooling with. I have a vision of this boat of what I want it to turn out like, but I cannot spend $1 million on the boat itself because repowering it is going to be costly. We got to clean all the crap out of it to assess that first. The trailer seems to be pretty good, I'll say that. The tires were completely blown out. These are a couple tires I just threw on there that I had laying around. So we're gonna need tires. We're gonna need all the regular trailer stuff, unfortunately. Winch, tail lights, wiring harness, you know, the whole 9 yards. Well, I usually talk more about boats when I first get them, my plans, and you know, just more about the boat itself. But I don't want to waste my time and y'all's time. So what I'm going to go ahead and jump into is clean this thing out, and then we can get back to what we got, because she's going to need a lot of cleaning. This is I don't know. It's a project. Just a little bit of mold, light coating of it on the top, mold and mildew. It's coming off okay. I mean, as you can see, there's still some crap on here. Spray it down with something, but we're going to sand all this down anyway, so it's not going to be perfect. It did the inside too, just so I ain't working in mud, hopefully, when I take the floor out. This back here don't want to come clean. I guess it's just stained from mud. I'll spray something on it, but I haven't done this side yet. Yeah. Old girl's been neglected for a while. What do you think, Rebel? I'll buy another crappy boat? You know I did. Let's knock this out. Well, that's as good as it's going to get for now. We're going to sand all this anyways. I guess we can go ahead and start taking all this stuff off that we don't need on. The windshield, nav lights, anchor light that's broke, horn, everything. Eventually, that thing. Try to keep everything in a box so we don't lose it. Put it back on when we're done. Almost looks better without the ugly windshield. Well, I've been working. Yeah, it hasn't been fun. I got most of this crap out that I'm going to get out. Surprisingly, this stringer right here is pretty solid. The only place that's a little eat up is right there, and that's where one of the screws from the seat was going down into it. I mean, it's pretty solid the rest of the way. I promise. I'm not making it up. I went ahead and took this side out, and the little, I don't know, not even really a bulkhead. It's just another piece of 1x2 going across. It was broke. It's right there on the dash. But I think this is as far as I'm going to take it, stripping it down. I need to go get some plywood. I wish I could get 1/2 inch marine grade, but I just can't find it anywhere. I can't find 1/2 inch or 3/4 marine plywood around me at my Lowe's or a Home Depot around me. I might get fir. I might get outdoor grade plywood. I don't know. I'm gonna go with 1/2 inch, that's for sure. And I'm gonna try to cut the edges at a 45 where it lays on the structure or whatever. That's hardly any wood. There's a little bit of wood left up here which wasn't rotten, and the same way on this side. I'm just so scared about cutting into the bottom of the boat, so I just did what I could and left it. So I'm gonna kind of go on top of that at 45. Hopefully after I mat it all in, it ought to be okay-ish looking. As far as these stringers, I'm gonna replace this one, and back here is another like bulkhead, and it's sus where the stringers meet it. And instead of tearing it completely out like I probably should, I'm just gonna kind of patch it. I'm gonna put another piece on the outside and just kind of double it up, and everything's gonna get coated with actual marine epoxy instead of fiberglass resin, and then all the stringers are going to get matted and everything. I'm gonna try to do it kind of right. I mean, it is what it is, okay? I'm not trying to make excuses for myself. This boat is never going to be worth that much money. Yes, I should do it right since I'm down to doing it to this, but for my own sanity, and you know, I know what the boat is going to bring if I ever sell it. I kind of plan on keeping it, to be honest with you guys. And if I'm keeping it, I only cuss myself for not doing it right if in 5 years I got to replace the floor again. So that's what I plan on doing. I mean, if I get 5 years of enjoyment out of this boat and the floor tears up, so be it. I think what I'm doing right now is going to be worth at least 5 years of fun with a boat. And if it comes to it, I'll take the motor off and haul the boat to the diggum scrapyard. Went ahead and washed the inside of the boat out. Tried to vacuum up any kind of water I could. I'm gonna take Rebel's fan in the garage and sit in here, try to dry all this out, which my total boat epoxy hasn't even came in yet. I think it's supposed to be delivered today. So, but I can go ahead and go get all the wood that I need. I'm gonna try to do fir for the stringers and the little bulkheads, and some type of plywood for the floor. We can go ahead and get them all cut out the size they need to be, and then once the epoxy gets here, we can start coating it up. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it anyways. I got some fiberglass cloth cut out, and I got some Total Boat resin mixed up, and hopefully I got enough. I'm just going to brush it on here and hopefully get good adhesion. Try to keep it already messing up. Golly, I'm gonna get it pretty tight on these stringers. The reason I hope I have enough, because I really want to put the floor on top of these stringers when they're still wet. That way it'll kind of adhere to the floor and the stringers. Create a bond, hopefully. A lot of hoping though. First time I've ever done this. So I'm sure I'm doing stuff wrong, and that's okay. That's how you learn how to do things. You just got to do it sometimes. I watched one video on YouTube of how to do it. That's plenty, right? I don't even know if I watched a video. I think I just read a forum. I'm still kind of old school when it comes to stuff. I like reading how to do something, showing my age, and that's okay too. Until I wake up in the morning, my back's hurting from doing this right here. And that's when my age is not really that okay, in my opinion. I think I should have wet this wood before I laid this down. I'll go ahead and do that now. Oh no. I think that might help a little bit. Saturating this cloth. I can already tell that this is not going to be enough resin. Wish I have some more, but I bet I ain't got enough to finish this job. I ordered some more, but it ain't gonna be here till Friday, and today is Monday. That's no bueno. Works out a little bit better to wet the wood first, then lay the mat on top. Alright, I guess I'm gonna keep working on this until I get done or run out of resin. Hopefully the first. Well, we got it in there. Got a pretty heavy coat on the stringers, put the floor in there, and then I went around the perimeter with mat all the way around the floor. Now I got some weight in here, hoping that the floor is settled actually on the stringers themselves. I'll let that sit maybe until tomorrow, and then we'll finish matting this in. We'll mat all the way to the edge again. Probably going to go get some more mat, and hopefully the floor will be done after that cures. Whew, man, I'm sweating my butt off. I'm glad it's done though, or close to being done. Well, I ran out of epoxy. I just got this one last section to do. I'm probably going to do some more strips around the perimeter, but I got enough mat, not enough epoxy. I guess now we're going to start sanding, my favorite part. I guess I'm just going to focus on the green today. As you can see, I'm already starting to take off that sticker pinstripe on the bottom. The green don't really require a lot of body work. There's a few spots. I guess this thing had some kind of emblem on it that somebody has halfway filled up the holes. I can't find anything on what the emblems even look like. The only pictures I can see that have this boat in it, none of them show the emblem. So I don't know. I'm just gonna fill it up, I guess. But we'll do the green. There's not too much body work done. I can get it at least sanded down today. Get them spots touched up with some filler, and I might do like the front part. The more I'm around the boat, of course, the more I'm starting to see some weird spots. Like this right here had some kind of filler, and there's another spot on the back, but it shouldn't be too bad, I don't think. Those famous last words. All right, let's get to work, get it over with. Whew. Piece of cake. Alright, a little update because I ain't really been filming a whole lot of this. I have got the floor basically done, or at least epoxy part and mats. I still got a couple spots. I think a spot over here in this corner that I want to do, and then it had these wood like handrail things that sits on top of these little studs. I had to replace that one. I want to mat them in too and epoxy them in, so I'm going to do all that next day or so and be done with those. Sanded the top and the bottom of the boat with 400 and patched all the main spots that I've seen. I just went around it with a little bit of primer filler, and once that dries I'm going to go over it with some spot putty. I don't know if it'll show up in the camera, but we got some pinholes here and there. I'm gonna try to hit with that. You see those right there. And then I'm gonna wet sand the whole thing down with 800, and then I think we'll be ready to paint. Not that that's gonna be anytime soon. Rebel, you're not helping. You're not helping work on a boat, and you're not helping my video by painting in it. But that's where we are. I haven't really filmed much of it, but it's been boring crap anyways. Boring and really just hot work. It's been 100 degrees every day I work on this boat. I'm not joking. It's been like upper 90s and low 100s every day for the last 2 weeks. So I'm gonna knock that out, and hopefully we'll get into laying some paint here soon. Just got done laying paint on that boat, getting ready to camo it too. Working on 2 boats at the same time has been kicking me in the nether regions too in this heat. All right, dudes, we are finally just about ready to paint the boat. Well, at least the top half of it. I was off work last night, my first night off this month. Well, only night off this month. But I've been up since about 1:30 getting this boat ready to paint. Went ahead and had some primer left over from that little Turdy John boat. I've been working on that white primer. Went ahead and painted the inside, at least the side walls. It was black originally, or somebody had painted it black at one time. Went ahead and put a coat of that primer on it so we don't waste good paint. Then I taped up everything below the rub rail. Also made a little makeshift paint booth inside my garage with plastic sheeting. Taped up what little things we had left to tape up on the boat. Then I took some primer and primed some of the spots that was bare fiberglass or filler. And then took a Scotch-Brite pad, sanding them down. Took an air hose and blew all the dust off, and then wiped the whole boat down with grease and wax remover. So I think we're ready to spray some paint. For the paint, we're using Total Boat Wet Edge Oyster White. So it's a little bit of a off-white, kind of about the same color that the boat was originally on top. I'm going to be spraying the top half on. I just think it's too many nooks and crannies inside the boat to really roll it on and make it look good. So we're going to spray it on. I'm using the same kind of cheap, I think like a $70 Harbor Freight paint gun. Using 29-gallon Central Pneumatic air compressor, 3/8 inch line. I don't know. I went ahead and drained my compressor, all the water out of it. I have another filter on the compressor and also have a filter on the back of my gun. Try to keep any water out. I'm wearing this hat to keep from sweating in the paint. That's a little tip that I haven't shared with you guys. 99% of the time when I'm painting a boat, I have a hat on. Actually, these little sponge things work good too. And you don't want to be painting a boat wanting it to look nice, and next thing you know, some sweat drips right into your wet paint. All right, so I only have a quart of this white paint. I thinned it down with Total Boat Special Thinner, Special Spraying Thinner, I think is what it's called. I did 12%, it said 10 to 15, so made it right there in the middle. Hopefully that'll be good. If not, I'll adjust it on the next coat. I'm hoping 2 coats is gonna be enough. I don't know. I don't know if I have enough for 3. We might. We'll see. Cross our fingers and toes. All right, let's get to spraying. Well, just about everything that could have went wrong with painting the boat went wrong yesterday when I painted this boat. I mean, I'm sure it probably looks pretty good from afar or on video, but man, I ain't lying. We have sags, we have trash in the paint, which is 100% my fault because I totally forgot about using a tack cloth on this thing before spraying it. We got bugs in the paint, we got dry spots, we got, you name it, we got it. Fish eyes. So I've always wondered why Total Boat doesn't recommend spraying it. They actually say on the can the preferred method of application is to brush and roll on, brush and tip. I kind of see why now. Part of it was my fault, I'll admit that. Well, actually a lot of it was my fault. I need a better space. To do projects like this, trying to cram it in my garage, which is never really that clean ever, you can't really expect for it to come out perfect. I just wish it had came out a little bit better than it did. I drug the air hose across it right here on the second coat. I didn't even think about that. That shows how dumb I am. I was in here, did the first coat, got out, you know, none of this was painted, so I got out and sprayed all this. Well, to do the second coat, I had to get in, which I use a 6-foot ladder to get in, but having to spray it, holding the air hose out with one hand and trying to spray it, fiberglass had got on the air hose and got it rubbed this, which if you hit the light just right, you can see it. So it looks like it's got a ton of trash in it. I saw it and I got some thinner and tried to wipe it out and get all the trash out of it, but it's still, I mean, it don't look great at all. We got, there's some terrible runs right there, which I didn't notice until the paint had almost dried. So I said it's not a good paint job, but I don't know. Well, what can we do about it now? I'm definitely not going to sand it back down and reshoot it, so we're going to have to live with it. Hopefully the bottom will come out a little bit better. But just let you guys know, a lot of things on the internet and YouTube make stuff look like, you know, everything's wonderful and perfect. Well, I'm not that type of person. When I screw the pooch, I'm going to let you guys know about it, and that's one of them right there. Which I'm sure it probably does look pretty decent on camera, but in real life, this paint job is like I would give it honestly a 5 out of 10. But I was really hoping for it to be like close to a 7, 8. There's a giant fly right there that landed and got stuck in it. I'm hoping a lot of this trash, after I wash it the first time, a lot of this trash and bugs will clean up, and if so, I've got a little bit of paint left. I might be able to kind of touch it up. I don't know. Let's see how bad it bothers me. But what we're going to do today is try to get this trailer off of here so we can start working on the bottom. Rebel is going to drive me nuts the whole time. All right, let's see what we can do. Lowered the jack down to make the boat higher in the back. Use some 4x4s to build up to the back, bottom part of the transom. Now, I should be able to raise it back up, which is going to put more weight on the back. Then, figure out a way to secure the front, be able to pull the trailer out, in theory. I've done it before, should work. All right, this is sketchy. I'm using these 2-ton Harbor Freight jack stands. We all know about Harbor Freight jack stands, so we should be fine there. I got them. I actually need to move this one up a little bit. I got this black iron pipe going between it and putting a lot of faith that this thing is in there really good. So in theory, should be able to lower the jack back down, and the front part of the boat will be supported right here and the back on the blocks. As you can see, maybe you can see, we're off the bunks in the back. We're just sitting right there on that one roller now. So hopefully drop the trailer, move it out, boat will be free floating in the garage so we can paint the bottom and it don't fall and crush me. Don't have to do any more boat stuff. And that's kind of how I feel right now, working on 2 boats at the same time. All right, let's do it. Had to take the mid rollers off because the boat gets a little fatter right here and it wouldn't want to clear it. Also got this for safety. Safety third. Now let me take a look at this trailer. I noticed this already, but I think this is pretty cool about this old boat and trailer combo. Sears boat. Still got what I'm assuming is the original Sears trailer. Actually, pretty nice, beefy trailer. I mean, it's square tubing all the way through. Weird, it's a tilt trailer. It looks like it still will tilt. Probably gonna put us a little weld on here to keep it from ever tilting because we don't want it to tilt. All right, need to replace the bunk wood and sand this thing up. Get some paint slapped on it. It looks like it used to be white. I wish I could get it white again, but I don't know. It looks like it's got a bunch of paint from over the years, and that white paint almost looks like it's ceramic or something, so that'll be hard to get smooth. So we're probably just gonna do flat black as usual, but this is it. It shouldn't take long. I've done so many of these trailers, I should be able to knock this out in about a day and a half. And that, I don't know, I'm gonna procrastinate that as long as possible. After that paint disaster, I need some time to lick my wounds before I do another paint job. Let's get to work. Alright, we're getting ready to paint the bottom half of this boat. The last couple of days after getting it off the ground, I went around all the bare fiberglass spots and sprayed with filler primer, same way I did the top half. And then this morning, all them spots I hit with like the gray Scotch-Brite and got all them smooth to the touch. Then went around the whole bottom of the boat with grease and wax remover. And I'm not going to forget to wipe it down with the tack cloth this time and do it right before I start painting. And as far as paint, we're going with Total Boat Wet Edge again. I got a gallon of it, so I should have plenty because I plan on doing at least 2 coats, maybe 3, because I don't know how well it's going to cover this green up. We're not going back with green. We're going with Resale Red. Fire Red is what Total Boat calls it. They actually recommend putting a coat on, letting it dry for I think 16 hours, and then going over it with the Scotch-Brite real lightly, then, you know, getting the dust off, and then applying your second coat. We'll see how it goes. I know I'm only going to put 1 coat on today because I'm not spraying it. I'm a roll and tip it. I'm going to use a little bit better paintbrush than I normally use. Like I usually just use those little chip brushes that are like $1 a piece. I mean, this isn't by no means a really nice paintbrush. It's like one of them good, better, best. This is like better that you get from Harbor Freight or Lowe's or whatever. But I want to use it because the bristles are just a little bit finer and I ain't got to worry about them coming out all in the paint like those chip brushes do. And as for rollers, I'm going with foam. It's a little bit longer than the ones I usually use because we have a lot more room to work, and I want to try to limit the roller lines as much as possible. And that's what you kind of run into. The hard part about doing a boat like this with a roller and a brush is you'll end up with roller lines if you're not careful. And I will say this about Total Boat paint, that wet edge is very, very runny. It's some very thin paint, or at least the white and the teal that I used on my Owens boat was super runny, so I'm expecting the red not going to be any different. So I take my time, very, very thin first coat all around the boat. Luckily we have a really hard body line, if you show up right here. So what I plan on doing is doing the bottom part of the boat first and then coming up top when I'm tired and not really feeling like taking my time. I probably should do it the opposite way, but I kind of want to do the bottom first so I can see how the paint's really wanting to act with, you know, a lot of things can determine how paint's going to act. The weather, how well the paint's mixed, if you're adding thinner, you know, etc. So I'm going to do the bottom first, then the top. If that turns out to be a terrible idea, I'll reverse that tomorrow when I put the second coat on. All right. Let's get to painting because it's not painting itself. I know the lighting in here sucks, but we got one coat down. Hopefully no more than one or two to go. It's a lot darker right now because that green is coming through in spots, but that's okay. It'll cover. Looks better already in my opinion. I hated that green. I'll let it dry and do it again tomorrow. Well, I got 3 coats on this red and I'm so unhappy with it. You see how textured it is? It's just orange peeled so bad. And I actually rolled and tipped it. And it's still, I don't know, I guess I should have added some thinner to it. As I don't want to, I think what I'm gonna do is take a Scotch-Brite, try to scuff this down, get a lot of that orange peel out, and then tape everything up as well as I can and shoot this thing with a gun, a light coat on top. Hopefully that'll make it look a lot better. I'm just worried about how much I'm gonna want to sand it. I hope I can get it knocked down with the Scotch-Brite and not have to wet sand it. Sucks, just spraying the paint ain't gonna take me about 5 minutes, but everything, having to tape all this up, tape my garage up, and sand it's gonna take me a good bit. And that puts me a whole another day behind on this boat, so that sucks. And I don't know, I can't live with that. It's just too bad. I've been very pleased with Total Boat paint until this, which the white part was my fault. The red part, I don't understand. I don't know. I guess I just should have put the first coat on and then add a little bit of thinner for the second and third coats. Maybe it wouldn't have, I don't know. I have no idea, but it's too late now. So that's the only way I really know how to fix it is to sand it down and shoot it. Alright, since I can't find anything on these boats, I really don't know what was supposed to go here. Because all I was left with was 2 hinges, so I'm just going to assume that it was a piece of wood. And I had a piece of birch left over, so why not use it? Got it test fit it out. I think it's going to work. I didn't cut it 27 times. Got a little bit lower, which I think after the hydro turf it's probably going to be a little bit higher, but you find some kind of vinyl. The vinyl will cover up most of these gaps on the sides, and you don't wrap it with vinyl. I don't know if I want to do red or white yet. I need to look at the seats. I already got the seats. They're still in the boxes. Try to match those, I guess. But we got this fitting pretty good. I marked the bottom where this edge goes. And dig the hinges out. I saved them wherever they are. Make sure they're still going to work. And we go ahead and sand this down and then coat it with probably just fiberglass resin, because I'm out of that total boat stuff and I don't feel like waiting a week for it to ship. And also I don't feel like spending another $100 on that stuff. That crap's expensive. I'm sure it's good and worth it, but I'm done blown the budget on this thing like bad. So I might have to cut a little corner. This will be easier to replace than that. So I'm going to cut a corner. Be better to cut it here instead of there, even though I did cut some corners there, but I don't know. We'll cut this corner, is what I'm trying to say. As I previously stated, what feels like 2 years ago, the problem with these older Runabout boats is they were made with a short transom. And they came with like 30 to 45, even some 50 horsepower motors. Well, it's hard to repower one. It's hard to find a short shaft motor that's that size anymore, like a newer one. Almost anything over 30 horsepower is going to be a long shaft motor. So that's where you get into a problem with repowering these things, unless you're okay with going with a low horsepower motor. As you guys probably already guessed, the motor I took off that Monarch, that 50 horse Yamaha, this is what it's going on. So in order to get a long shaft 50 horsepower Yamaha on here, we're going to need some assistance. I got this jack plate. It's supposed to give us 5 or 6 inches of lift. That should be enough to where we can put a long shaft motor on here and get it up high enough, so we'll have decent performance out of the boat. Now this is just a cheap one off Amazon. It wasn't like super cheap. I want to say it was like $200. But I mean, some of the name brand ones can be 3 times that price. So I hope I didn't screw up too bad by getting one of these cheaper ones. But I mean, we're not putting a crazy horsepower motor on here. It's 50 horsepower Yamaha. Hoping everything stays solid and don't break. But I got it up here with some clamps. I'm gonna mark my holes out and drill them all the way up to 1/2 inch. I got some stainless steel hardware to put on here. We're still at least a few days away from mounting this motor on, but at a spot right now where I need something to do because we're waiting on a few other things. So figure why not go ahead and throw this on here and see how bad I can mess it up. That way it'll match, the paint and everything else that I'm messing up on this boat. All right, wish me luck. Well, as bad as I want to do the interior and get it knocked out, I guess a smart thing to do is go ahead and run some of these wires for stuff, which won't be a whole lot. The horn that we never took off. We got the front nav light, which works. Just got to wire it up. I already put the anchor light on, but I haven't wired it up. I got a light switch from a boat that I've been working on all year and have yet to finish. It just came with it. I might rob it just for this boat. I think it's just 4 or 5 switches, so it'll save me a little bit of money. Try to figure out somewhere to put it where it's hidden. That's about it as far as electrical stuff. I'm trying to knock out some of this stuff so I'm not in and out on top of the hydro turf and getting it all nasty and having the seats get in my way too. So I just think it'd be a smarter thing to go ahead and knock this little bit of wiring out. Since you guys know it's my favorite part anyways, go ahead and jump on that. Yeah, right. Well, we got updates. Waiting around for crap to be shipped from Amazon. I've been just piddle farting around, jumping from here to there. As you can see, I put the steering wheel on and the steering cable, and then some of the things that went on the dashboard, went ahead and put them back in. I said I was going to use a switch panel that I got out of another boat, and I actually tried it. It's this switch panel right here. Thought it was cool because it's got these relays wired into it. Well, I got everything wired up, and everything, all the lights were just dim on it. So something definitely wrong in that panel, and I didn't feel like dissecting it and trying to figure it out. So I just bought me a cheap one off Amazon. I had to order a few more things too to complete everything, but I think I have all the wiring done now. I just got this little cheap panel right here. I really want to drill into the dash and make this hole bigger or whatever. I kind of like the factory look of everything, in case anybody wants to go back and make it 100% original one day. But this is the main power that turns on the rest of the switches. I had to go in and cut all the wires, because when you get these things, they're all wired together. It's a pain in the butt. But we got interior lights, just LED strips, and then we have, you have to believe me that the navigation lights are on, and then we got the anchor light. The factory horn wouldn't work, but I went ahead and got an aftermarket one and put it under the dash, and I wired it to the factory button. So we got a horn. That's kind of neat, I think. But all we really like now is tidying up all these wires and cleaning this floor back up so we can get to starting the interior. Well, the interior's coming together. I wish those seats were a little more red and not dark red. I don't have the seats bolted down yet. Ain't a whole lot of room in here. I wish they were a little bit lower. These are the only back-to-back red and white seats I could find though. Windshield's in. I'm gonna buff it. I wanted to buff it before I put it in, but I was scared I was gonna break it. So I'm gonna put it in and hopefully I can buff some of them scratches out of it. It don't look so bad. And that windshield makes this boat look pretty goofy, but I guess it would look incomplete without it. Well, I guess the next step is going to be controls, hooking the outboard up. I'll be real close to being done with this thing. Well, unfortunately, I was right about the controls. They're too short. As you see, they're showing up about right there. I want them to be about right here. But I need more cable than that because when you turn it, it pulls the cables. So that's with it being basically straight. I got these from Amazon. I think they're 13 foot, and I think the original ones were 8. So I'm adding quite a bit, but I'd rather have too much cable than not enough, and put that gear shifter up here maybe. Hopefully I can get those put in no problem. And then I still gotta mount these seats. I'm kind of waiting on that gear shift so I can see where it's going to be to figure out where to put this seat, and then I can put this seat in. All right, if we can get that knocked out today, at least that cable put in and the shifter mounted, maybe we can pull this thing out and see if it still runs. Alright dudes, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. Unfortunately, not by taking the boat out on the water and testing it out as much as I really want to. Ran into a couple little snags, went to replace the impeller in the lower unit, and it had a bolt broken off in the lower unit, and I cannot get it out to save my life. And a lower unit replacement, a new old stock one, is about $2,000. And all the used ones on eBay are pretty tore up, and you know, still kind of pricey, $700. I don't feel like that's a good deal, $700 for a lower unit that's busted up. So that's one of the main things. Also, deer season is right around the corner, and I've kind of switched modes like I usually do. Taking this boat out would require me to take off work because there's nowhere around here to really take a boat like this without driving, you know, almost 2 hours. So I would really need to be off work to do so. And speaking of work, I got a new job at work earlier this year, and it has required me to go back to school. Yeah, 42 years old, going back to school. It's only 2 nights a week, but I already didn't have much free time as it was, so that's going to be kind of a pain in my butt the next couple years getting through this school. But when I get done with it, it should help me out in the long run. Believe it or not, this might be a shocker to you guys, but I'm going to be a maintenance guy at work. I'm going to be working on stuff at work and then coming home and working on boats. So all that combined, I've decided to shelf the Sears Runabout 150 until next year. I'm going to keep an eye out for a lower unit and hopefully be able to put one on here, and maybe we get some good weather next spring, go ahead and break it back out. Did a lot of work to this boat. Granted, we cut some corners. I pointed them out. A lot of stuff I probably should have done, but like I said, I intend on keeping this boat, so it's my boat. I'm not screwing anybody by, you know, doing this stuff. I'm screwing myself if, you know, it comes to that, the floor rots out in a year, which I don't think it will. I think what I did to the floor, it'll last a really long time. I'm going to try to keep it covered the whole time that I own it, so the only time it's going to get wet is, you know, when we're out on the lake, whatever. It should dry on the way home, hopefully. So I think what we did will last for a really, really long time. And also, not to say that, you know, this is cutting corners is okay, but sometimes, you know, you don't have the funding to throw every bell and whistle at a boat or to do everything textbook perfectly. You know, boats are made to be enjoyed, and I'm not trying to act like I'm above that. It's kind of how I envision this boat. Let's throw it together, make it look nice, and enjoy it for, you know, not a whole lot of money, which I do got a lot of money wrapped in this stupid thing. And as far as what this thing looks like now versus when we got it, yeah, it did a good 180. Now, I'm not happy with the paint on this boat. I'm sure it looks really, really good in videos and pictures, but that total boat paint really fought me for whatever reason. Some of the runs and some of the trash I could probably wet sand out. I got some paint left over, I could touch it up and probably would look a little bit better than what it looks like now. But I might do something drastically different too. I don't know why. I was telling my wife if I planned on keeping this boat, I probably would have done it a different color. So we might revisit redoing this whole boat, which will be very expensive and pretty dumb. But if I'm going to keep the boat, I want to be proud of it and happy with how it looks. So I plan on taking the boat out and doing a video whenever I can, with, you know, just seeing how it runs and whatnot. And then after that, you might see it again before the summertime, looking a lot different. I don't know, might do a video on that too, a little quick, you know, before and after. But I don't want to hold this video up any longer and wait until next year to do it. So what you see is what I got right now. And I mean, I'm probably my toughest critic when it comes to these boats. But I gotta admit, its boat has came a long way. I still have stuff that I planned on doing and haven't done, like buff the windshield and fix a little paint stuff. But as far as the main stuff, you know, it's done. And I am happy with the before and after, I'll say that, even though I'm not 100% happy with the paint. I need to get it out of the way so we can revisit the Gnu. That's coming up. I've got to do it because I'm motivated monetarily with it, because I want to sell it, and I have an idea. I actually bought all the stuff to give it a facelift. I think it'll have a little bit more curb appeal for around here. Hopefully somebody can pick it up and enjoy it, get it out of my way, honestly, and recoup some of the money that I didn't put in that thing. Got one more video at least to do this year. But anyways, that's all my excuses for not ending this video by taking this boat out. Like I said, I really want to, but I physically can't right now with the motor until I figure that out. And I don't have time right now. And like I said, deer season's here. I actually just got home a few minutes ago from doing a little scouting. I think hunting season opens up next weekend, which I don't know when I'll actually be able to go. It's going to be pending my work and schedule. But I'm excited about it. And another reason to get this boat out of here, because I'm going to be hanging some deer up in the garage really soon, I hope. But anyhow, I really appreciate you guys watching. See you on the next one.